On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Dead Heart in a Dead World by Nevermore. Everyone, welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
And we're two professional broadcasters, and we like metal and we like to talk about it. And today, we're going to talk about album by Nevermore, which is like the first album you've brought in quite a while that since Mastodon, basically.
Well, the last album I brought you was new.
I can't remember.
Ghost.
Oh yeah, I get okay. Yeah, I forgot about Ghost. I've already wiped Ghost from my mind.
Of course you have.
It is a rarer event that you bring albums that have come out in my lifetime.
This one's from the turn of the century.
The turn of the and the turn of the millennium.
Yes,
too. From 2000, Dead Heart in a Dead World. We'll talk more about
their fourth album,
Nevermore, in a while.
Is it their fourth? Yes.
Yes, I think so. Edgar Allan Poe's favorite band.
Nevermore.
But yeah, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a weird week, kind of a little bit.
You're having car problems again,
right? And I also had a bike problem. I got a bicycle because our owners, the people who own us,
our owners,
we were talking about
help us.
You can't see, but I'm blinking SOS right now. So anyway, we're talking about diet and exercise, and Gene says, hey, we have a bike. Because I said I'm in the shittiest shape of my life, and I'm the oldest I've ever been, and
that's always true.
True. And so I have a bicycle that's been sitting it's like a bougie kind of bicycle, been sitting in my garage for years, and nobody rides it because they ride these multi-$1,000
electric
assist bikes.
Yes.
And so you can have it. I'm like, I will take it. So I took it, and like the second day I had it, I ran over a big piece of broken taillight on the ground and blew the fucking tire out.
You just like you attract bad luck and accidents, I feel.
I do it in clumps, it seems. I think it seems my accidents come in clumps.
When it rains, it pours.
Right, because the water pump in my car is also spewing fluids.
Yes.
So every time I start the car, I have to open up the hood, refill the reservoir, and hurry home so that it doesn't start screaming at me that the radiator's dry.
And that the engine is about to hit 5,000 degrees.
Right. Well, I definitely monitor that.
Yeah. But you're getting that fixed tomorrow.
I'm getting that fixed tomorrow, and I got the bike fixed as well.
There you go.
Did I tell you about my ride in the lift when I went to go get the bike?
No, I don't think so.
So I order a lift, to get a ride in one of them lift cars.
I wanted them lift cars.
They don't have the mustaches anymore. So anyway, didn't you remember?
No.
Yeah, that was part of the deal.
Oh, yeah.
Mustache. Until somebody pointed out that we're ordering mustache rides.
Hey.
They're like, okay, never mind. So this guy shows up at my house in this like 1980 van, and
nice.
Which he must have bought when he was about 70. New.
God.
So he's driving this, and he's ancient, and I think he might have been a little bit drunk.
Okay.
And so we're driving around, and he starts spouting off about politics.
Oh, just what you want to hear from your Lyft driver.
Yes, and old man Midwest white guy politics.
Yes.
Generally tend to be kind of batshit crazy.
Yeah.
No matter where you're looking at it. And and he's talking about it, and we get to 4th Avenue, one of the busier streets in town, and he's talking to me, and there are cars coming. There are cars coming from the left, cars coming from the right. And he's like, fuck it. And he pulls out. And then the cars go, honk, honk. He's like, yeah, I got a horn too. Honk, 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 honk. And we're driving along, and I'm going,
I'm going to die.
I'm in danger. And he did it again once we hit like close to Broadway.
Jesus Christ.
He's trying to get us in a wreck. And
did you give him 5 stars?
Of course. 5 stars in the full tip. Yeah, hell yeah. That was an adventure. Thank you, sir. Here's a bottle of Old Granddad. Finish your high.
Yep.
I got my bicycle and went
Your
home.
buzz is fading, I can tell. You need to keep this level.
Oh, yeah. So that was my day.
See, that Lyft ride would have been ruined to me, not when he started talking about politics, but just when he started talking.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's all the time.
That's like, I feel like this guy was under the impression that he was a cab driver in a movie in New York that takes place in the 80s. He was under the assumption that he was a taxi driver stereotype.
Right.
From an old movie.
Because I've had both crazy, weird experiences. Lately, it's been the more crazy, weird experiences in the Lyft cars. Before the pandemic and whatnot, you get in there, they'd have a chilled thing of bottled water, some candy. They would
It'd be the most luxurious experience you'd have.
It was
the whole month.
It's like I felt like I'm going to prom. You know, in this limousine of a car. Now you get in it and there's like, hey, why is there a skull back here? You know?
Sorry. Some guy was in here and farted a lot.
That was my last ride. He's the one who farted in here. He was also smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, I don't take lifts very often, so I or really ever, because I don't have any reason to ever take a lift.
Right. But I have kind of a broken car and I had a broken bike.
So you have a reason.
Yes.
I mean, I probably will be taking some lifts when I'm in Las Vegas towards the end of the summer.
Did that a lot in Vegas last time.
Because that's just probably the more convenient way to get around. Although I won't be taking too many because I won't be leaving the Airbnb that we're going to be staying in very much.
You're not going to go on a casino crawl?
No, I'm not. I'm going to be, it is going to be a chafing free visit to Las Vegas. I don't know what it is. I go on vacation. At some point, I'm going to start chafing.
Sure.
And
you know, they make powders.
I know they do.
Like Gold Bond, extra medicated.
I really should. Like it's just, I think it's because there's anytime it seems like I go on a trip, there's so much walking involved.
Sure.
Where it's like, I don't know. I start chafing real bad.
Just makes me think of that commercial that we used to play all the time when I started out in radio. For Gold Bond extra medicated powder, here's Mac from New Jersey. Yeah, sometimes I suffer the male itch. That's why I buy Gold Bond extra medicated powder to apply to myself.
I guess I wouldn't describe it as an itch.
Right. No, it's.
Yeah, it's. You wouldn't. It's.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
your undercarriage and upper thighs.
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah.
They're rubbing against each other too much because I'm fat. Because I'm fat and sweaty and I'm walking too much and it hurts. And so then I lay down.
You know, it's funny. Last time I went to Vegas, in fact, every time I've only been to Vegas as an adult twice. I lived there as a child, but as an adult, I realized both times walking up and down the strip, I'm like, I'm here for the freak show. You know, what kind of crazy, weird, dressed up, funny, crazy people am I going to see? And then I got about halfway down the street and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the freak show.
Look at this guy from North Dakota.
Yeah, look at this pale, weird guy. What's he wearing right now?
Let's all point and laugh at him, everyone.
It's 120. Why does he have a fucking hoodie on? What is socks and sandals? What are you delivering the mail?
Who is this guy? Yeah, it's I mean, I feel like I've talked about it on here. I'm just going to hang out with friends and play Dungeons and Dragons because it was the most financially reasonable place for us to meet up.
Right.
But yeah, it's just gonna be a chill hang.
Go down to the chicken ranch at least one day.
I don't know. Okay, I know why. That because what immediately popped into my head was the best little whorehouse in Texas, and the only reason for that is because someone mentioned an NPC in our game who's based on Dolly Parton. And I was looking for a GIF, and one came up from Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and I was like, "Oh yeah, there's that movie." And so I looked it up, and it's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, I had no idea what the premise of the movie was, other than Dolly Parton runs a whorehouse, and I didn't realize it took place it not only was filmed in the 80s, but the movie takes place in the 80s and was based on a Broadway musical, which was in turn based on some amount of real events.
Right.
And that was the name of the brothel, was right.
Well, the chicken house? Actually, the Chicken Ranch is an is a brothel outside of Las Vegas.
Oh,
there is an actual chicken ranch.
Is it named after the historical one though?
Maybe,
because I'm pretty sure that was the name of the one in the Best Little Whorehouse.
Because I also feel like that same one that you're talking about from the movie with Dolly Parton is also the inspiration for the song "LaGrange" by ZZ Top. It's
entirely possible.
Yeah,
I mean they're Texas boys.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, I have to go down like my brain's not working because I'm concentrating on something else. I'm physically incapable of doing two things at once. The real life Chicken Ranch was in LaGrange, Texas.
Right. Yeah.
An illegal brothel in the U.S. state of Texas that operated from 1905 to 1973. Mm-hmm. Served as the basis for the ZZ Top song LaGrange, the 1978 Broadway musical, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Neat.
Yeah. But they also have one in Las Vegas, and it's all legal.
So. Yeah, well, yeah. Maybe they just moved it there. They were just like, well, we'll go somewhere where we're wanted.
Yeah.
Vegas, here we come. That's not a Texas accent. It's just vaguely Southern. That's all it is. In completely different news, I mean, I've been talking recently about how I've been reading Berserk. I've been getting into that. Mm-hmm. And there's actually really good news from that front, because a year or so ago, the creator and the writer of the series passed away, and it was like up in the air whether or not it was going to be continued. And they announced yesterday that they are going to continue the series and keep it going until whatever end it is going to reach.
Sure.
And his best friend, who is also a manga author and is also the only other person who knew how it was supposed to end and like the details of the story, is supervising the rest of the project. And his Kentaro Miura's personal studio that he hired of like all his assistants and whatnot are the ones doing the art. So it's the best possible situation for a continuation of the series that could be. And so I'm excited that this thing that I just got into is going to keep going now.
You spent over $300 on so far.
Yeah. I mean, but I got them.
Yeah, you got them.
Now I can read them as many times as I want.
Exactly.
I mean, books are expensive.
They are.
Forget, like, it's weird.
Like hardcover books.
Yeah, hardcover books are expensive, and that's what they are. Because I was like, if I'm gonna get them, I want to get the hardcover ones because they look cool. They're leather bound and they're this massive tome, and they look cool.
They do look cool.
So
they're black.
That's what I wanted. But yeah, it's neat to see that it's going to actually have an end, because I was like getting into the series going like, well, I'm just going to have to accept that I'm going to hit a certain point and then there will never be any more of this.
Sure.
And there will never be a definitive conclusion to this series. Kind of like, like Game of Thrones, how it ended at the end of season 6 or 4. Or, I can't remember which, it kind of depends on the mood you're in. What season you think Game of Thrones should have ended at. Or it's kind of like Game of Thrones, the book series.
Yeah. Which hasn't ended yet.
It hasn't ended yet and never will. I'm calling it right now. He's going to die. No.
Who? You mean the elderly, out of shape guy from New Jersey?
No, absolutely not. He did actually tweet. He actually tweeted about his progress on Winds of Winter recently. Mm-hmm. He said that he had just finished a handful of chapters, and he was working like a handful of chapters that had been giving him terrible trouble like trying to figure out how he wanted to write them and whatnot. He finished them, and now he's moving on and working on some other stuff. So he actually released an update about his progress, which is more than he's done in a very long time. So there's maybe some hope on the horizon for that. But yeah, I'm glad that Berserk is kind of getting Brandon Sanderson.
Sure.
More or less. I think it's a good thing. I'm happy about it.
You know, I haven't gone to read those books.
The
final 3 Wheel of Time
ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a horse in the race, but I think the general consensus is that they are good.
Yeah,
and that they are a worthy conclusion to the series.
It's just that so many times, you know, back when the man was alive, he, you know, would come out with a new book in the series, and I'd be like, I gotta go back and read the other ones again. And when I get down to like book 9, I'm like, I don't.
This is too much work.
This is a lot of work.
But this was also, when were the Wheel of Time books released? Like
originally?
Yeah, like what date range? You know,
I think when did the first one come out? I want to say early 90s or maybe late 80s.
Because it's one of those things where now you can, you know, you can Cliff's Notes it now.
Sure, essentially,
where that was maybe less accessible when the books were originally published. Like. You know, that's a problem that I totally understand. But now it's like, if you can't remember what happened in the book, you can look up some summaries and spend, you know, a couple of
internet. Now.
Yeah, you can spend a couple of hours refreshing on it instead of having to reread the entire fucking series. Which, on one hand, hey, if it's a really good series of books, maybe you'll enjoy your time rereading it. On the other hand, that's a massive time commitment. And
it is.
You're an adult and you have other things to do.
Exactly. I have video games to play.
Precisely. So yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna make a season 2 on Amazon there
of Wheel of Time. I'm pretty sure they announced that they were. I'm pretty sure there was a conversation you were involved in recently about a season 2 of Wheel of Time.
As we've discussed, I'm old now, so
you're an old man.
I don't retain memories like I used to.
Maybe you weren't involved in that. Maybe it was a different chat, but I could have swore there was a conversation on one of our Discords that you were tagged in regarding the Wheel of Time.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure there's a teaser or trailer or something that was released. I don't know that. I don't know. Again, I'm not invested in the Wheel of Time whatsoever. So I have no context for that. I did see a picture today of an on-set picture of the character Celebrimbor in Amazon's Lord of the Rings series, and I have never seen an actor who looks less like an elf in my entire life. He looks like fucking Wynn Duffy from Justified. You know the actor Jerry Burns?
Sure, yeah.
He looks, it's not Jerry Burns, but he looks like Jerry Burns. And it's like, this man does not look like an elf. First of all, he's old, which is antithetical to elves in the Lord of the Rings. Like he looks like a 48-year-old man.
Oh Christ, really? And he's still alive?
Yeah, it's crazy.
He looks 48?
He looks so terrible.
I bet he smells.
Door.
Yeah.
But no, like I look at him and I'm just like, I can't believe that this man is an elf. And I guess, you know, people when the Jackson movies came out, people complained a lot about Hugo Weaving being cast as Elrond, saying like he didn't look like he ought to be an elf. And so I feel like I'm just terribly biased because I've never, you know, I was a tiny baby little child when those movies came out and have grown up with them my entire life. So I cannot picture literally anyone else as Elrond.
Of course.
But like, and there is also, you know, something to be said for in the Lord of the Rings, like elves do age very, very, very subtly. Like they're immortal and they won't die of old age, but like
they do age.
There is the elf Círdan, or maybe Círdan, I don't know. But he's the guy who runs the Grey Havens and like builds the ships for the elves to go back to the West. He is described as having a beard, which is like he's the only elf anyone has ever seen who has had a beard, because he's the oldest elf in Middle Earth and one of the oldest beings in Middle Earth, period. Wow. by like the end of the Return of the King. Mm-hmm. He's extremely, extremely old.
Like 20, 30,000 years.
I don't know exactly how the timeline really shakes out, because there's a period after the world was created where time kind of still didn't exist. It's like I need to properly, like, it's called the Year of the Trees, but it may have been thousands of years, and it's weird. The early parts of the Silmarillion are so like metaphysical / forical that it's hard to really like get a concrete handle on like, when is this happening? How long did this take? Where is that in relation to this?
And who again?
How old are these people?
Right.
You know, and like you said, who? Because there are 80 billion characters in the Silmarillion,
right? And
half of them have this a name that's one letter apart from each other,
right? It's 9 letters long.
But like, yeah, so this guy who I was talking about is playing the elf who forges the rings. He forges the elvish rings. And I think maybe he had a hand in the other rings too. I can't remember exactly how that goes. The more I see of Amazon's Lord of the Rings series, the less interested I am. And we've talked about this before, how it's like ironic that a work of, you know, a work of fiction like Tolkien's Legendarium, where one of the core tenets is that, like, you know, massive corporations and, like, I mean, not actually corporations, but like the, you know, industrialization and whatnot is evil. And then fucking Amazon is making the series. Yeah. You know, it's I don't know. I use Amazon, so I can't really complain all that much, but it's like I just the more I see, the less interested I am. And on one hand, it's like, it shouldn't be about, you know, how they look. It should be about, you know, if they're a good actor or not, and if they're right for the role. And it's like, yeah, but when you're trying to sell a fictional world, how they look is kind of important too. Sure. I don't give a shit about the color of people's skins. I can absolutely believe a black elf, but if you look like if you're supposed to be an immortal being and you look like you just got done dropping off your grandkid for soccer practice, it's going to take me out of this fictional world you're trying to sell to me. Elves are supposed to be young and hot, God damn it. I want my hot, sexy elves. Give me Liv Tyler. Yeah. I don't know why I'm slowly turning into Macho Man. Macho Man was really into Lord of the Rings. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. My favorite book is the Silmarillion. I love the chapter about the fall of Gondolin. I have dreams about nailing Galadriel. But who doesn't? Yeah. Also, apparently, it was revealed that the villain of the first series, instead of, you know, fucking Sauron, is instead going to be some asshole they made up named like Ardell, who's supposed to be like Galadriel's brother. Here's the thing: Galadriel has brothers, and as far as I know, none of them were like, you know, straight up evil bad guys.
Maybe this was the one they don't talk about.
Yeah, God, I hate that bullshit. I hate that shit. Well, you know, they didn't say he didn't have a brother named that. Fuck off. God.
We don't talk about Ardal. No.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. I'm pulling some of this shit out of my ass because I got halfway through reading it and went, fuck it.
I don't care. Which is really saying something because you're a huge fan of.
That's probably the biggest part of why I'm disinterested, though, is because I am so deeply interested.
Right. And if they're going to fuck up your thing.
Yeah. I'm so deeply interested in a certain version of that universe.
Right.
And when I see things that don't line up with my vision of that universe, then I become really hard to please. It's like Halo. Like there was never a snowball's chance in hell that I was going to be interested in a Halo series made by Paramount. I'm almost certain that the speculation going on around that show, by the way, is that someone had a script for a Mass Effect series, but that property is more or less long dead outside of the recent release of the original trilogy remaster. So instead of Mass Effect, they're like, what if we just did Control F and replaced all mentions of the oh god, what the fuck are they called in
I never played the game.
Protheans. What if we replace all instances of Prothean with Forerunner and all instances of Mass Relay with Halo, and just hunt and pecked and replaced things until they ended up with something that vaguely resembled the universe in which the Halo series takes place.
We'll put Master Chef in here, and
it's weird because. And again, I haven't seen the series, so I can't really talk out of turn.
Right.
But the vibe that I was getting from watching people react to it was that the Covenant, this massive genocidal alien, empire theocracy that wants to exterminate the human race because we're viewed as heretics.
Right.
The TV show seems to not paint them as that much of a threat. Really? As if they're like, they made the UNSC, the human military that is supposedly supposed to defend the human race, is painted as the bigger bad guy.
Really?
Because fair enough. That's, in the series as it is. Yeah, the whole, instance of the Spartans, of which the Master Chief is a member, being created is a horrible, incredible moral event horizon sort of thing of the basic story is, in order to make super soldiers, they needed to kidnap kids because they were doing a whole bunch of like genetic, gene therapies and stuff and surgeries that wouldn't take if you perform them on an adult. So they kidnapped a bunch of children and indoctrinated them and, basically made them into child soldiers.
So they're witchers.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is horrible. And there's a whole bunch of other really shady stuff, very CIA-like shit that a branch of the UNSC constantly does. The Office of Naval Intelligence is constantly doing shit that would make the real life CIA go like, damn, son. But outside of that, the UNSC is also the only military body capable of even just defending against the Covenant, not capable of winning, because it's made clear time and time again up until the war ends in Halo 3 that the UNSC is going to lose. And that all they're doing is forestalling the inevitable because these aliens are so much more technologically advanced. But the show is just like, but the humans are the real bad guys. It's like, there's a fucking 12-foot tall gorilla with a gravity hammer there that's about to smash a bunch of civilians. And yeah, the humans are the bad guys. Okay. Anyway. And also Master Chief bangs. Yeah. Master Chief bones down.
With his helmet off.
I mean, he hardly ever puts the fucking thing on. in the show, as it would seem. But we see so much of that man's ass. People started calling him Master Cheeks.
Really?
It's just
who plays Master Chief?
His name is Pablo. I can't remember. I feel bad for the guy because there was never a chance that anyone was going to like that. Any Halo fan was. And I'm setting up a No True Scotsman thing here,
sure.
But he was always going to get shit, but he ended up in the worst possible adaptation of that source material and, having to get the most amount of shit possible.
If it's because I've never played the game and I've never seen the show, but I'm just imagining for some reason in my head, I don't know why I can't remember the actor's know it off the top of my head. The actor who plays Isaac Schrader. That's what.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I can't remember his name either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know who you're talking about. Hank from Breaking Bad.
Right.
Him as the Master Chief.
Right. Pull off his helmet and it's his face.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
It's I don't think there is really any. And here's the thing. If it were a faithful adaptation, it wouldn't matter who's under the armor because you never see them.
Sure.
It just needs to be someone tall and bulky, and you could have someone dub his voice. You could get fucking Steve Downes to dub his voice the way he's been doing since 2001.
Sure.
And it would sound good. Like, maybe it would be weird if you're trying to go for a slightly younger Master Chief because Steve Downes sounds like a 70-something voiceover artist who's, had a lifetime of radio. But like Steve Downes' voice is just amazing.
Yeah.
I love his voice. But you could get somebody to dub over the voice and just have the Master Chief never take his helmet off, like another very successful television show.
Yeah, in the Star Wars universe.
That's been streaming where a character almost never takes their helmet off. And that one's still good and nobody complains that, but we can't tell what he's feeling.
That reminds me, speaking of Star Wars properties on Disney Plus, I haven't watched it yet. Obi-Wan. But did you know that they did that in Obi-Wan?
They did what?
They put Hayden Christensen in the Darth Vader suit and got fucking James Earl Jones to do the voice.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were doing that.
I think that was also the case in at the end of Revenge of the Sith. It was Hayden Christensen in the suit, I believe, at the very end of Revenge of the that
really cringy moment.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think that was Hayden Christensen in the suit, and of course James Earl Jones dubbing the voice. I'm happy that Hayden Christensen was seemingly happy to come back and do this, and that they also asked him to come and do it.
I wish they'd got the original Darth Vader from episode 1.
I'm pretty sure David Prowse is dead.
No, I mean Jake. I'm talking about
Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, Jake Lloyd. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, David Prowse, yes, is definitely dead. But
I didn't hear episode 1 there.
Yeah, no, sorry, I said the first one, the original, which is episode 4. But no, episode 1, Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd. I think he's in jail.
Yeah, he's doing time somewhere, I think. Yeah.
Or he's been released, but he's Edward Furlonging it.
Yeah. Edward Furlong is dead, right?
I don't think so. Yes, he is. Or not. No, I don't think. God, I can't. I might be getting him confused with River Phoenix.
Who is dead?
Edward Furlong. Let's see. Is he alive? He is alive. Edward Furlong is alive.
Nice.
It wouldn't surprise me if Edward Furlong died.
Yeah.
But yeah, Edward Furlong is still alive.
Because we haven't seen him in a long time. So the answer is no. We haven't seen this boy.
Have you called and asked what was wrong with the dog? I don't know. I don't care. You want to talk about Nevermore?
Yeah.
All right. So Nevermore, it was an American heavy metal band, let's say. Plenty of thrash influences. And this is the story you're much more familiar with than I am, but formed by several members of the band Sanctuary. Because they were like, well, if we can't play the stuff that we want to play in Sanctuary anymore, then we'll make another band.
Right.
And play the music we want to make in that band instead. But Sanctuary also kept going. I like when you told me that story last week or whatever.
Forgot. They did keep going a bit.
Yeah, I assumed that Sanctuary, like everybody left Sanctuary and the band ended, but no, they kept going.
Right.
I don't know if they were just fulfilling a contract or what, but
but not much longer.
Yeah, Nevermore then became the project of several members of the band, and that continued until 2011.
Yeah,
when Nevermore split up, and they were maybe gonna get back together before one of the members died, and that sort of put the kibosh.
Worrell Dane,
yeah, Worrell Dane passed away in 2017.
It's a bummer.
Yeah. What else? Have we done a Sanctuary album?
Yes, we did Into the Mirror Black, yeah.
I was going to say, I couldn't remember whether or not, because a lot of these names were familiar to me.
Right.
Although I think I was more aware of Jeff Loomis as being one of the current guitarists for Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
That might have been what I knew Jeff Loomis from before, because he was only a touring guitarist for Sanctuary.
Yes. Well, I mean, he joined near the end of the band. I mean, he joined just before they formed Nevermore.
Okay.
And then I think he was with Sanctuary for a bit, and then as soon as Sanctuary was done full time with Nevermore.
Okay. Because the reason that there was this transition over to Nevermore is because record labels were like, hey, Sanctuary, start playing grunge.
You're from Seattle.
And it's the early 90s. Would you like to play grunge? Because that's what's popular now. And they went, no,
we don't.
We don't.
There was another really cool movement in Seattle that was happening, and grunge came along and kicked it right in the nuts.
What was the other cool movement?
Oh, the progressive metal, progressive rock.
Yeah.
So we had Queensryche, we had Sanctuary, we had.
And speaking of like progressive metal, is there was a lot on here that reminded me of, like, I was listening to it going like, this sounds like the occasional one or two heavy songs on a Dream Theater album.
Sure.
But it's every song. Like a lot of it reminded me of there's one Dream Theater album that was like, I think it's Train of Thought, I think is the Dream Theater album, that where they're like, all right, this album is just going to be just us playing heavy stuff. And we'll get back to doing our general, brand of
art rock,
progressive rock / metal later, but this is going to be an album of us just at our heaviest. And that's what this reminded me of a lot, and also a little, I think it's mostly because of Worrell Dane's vocal style. It reminded me, there was like a bit of Avenged Sevenfold that crept in there for me. Obviously Avenged Sevenfold came after and probably very well maybe influenced, but something about Worrell Dane's singing style reminded me of M. Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold. M. Shadows has a much more sandpapery voice, but something about it really reminded me. So there's a lot of things that felt familiar. I really enjoyed myself with this album. I liked it. I haven't listened to it a bunch of times, but I enjoyed this more than more than our previous album that you brought.
So by contrast, you enjoyed this album.
I enjoyed this more than Ministry quite a
bit, and obviously more than Ghost.
Yeah,
you keep
Well, the thing, I mean, I know we'd said earlier that it's like I've already completely forgotten about Ghost,
right?
But I didn't dislike Ghost. I just felt very firmly that it was not for me. And last week was less enjoyable. It was still a situation of just like, oh, this isn't really my thing. But it was overall less enjoyable than Ghost.
Ministry-wise.
Yeah.
Because it was just too weird.
It was just a little too weird and didn't have enough. It enough, I don't know, enough pathos, I guess, might be the word I'm looking for.
This has pathos.
Yeah. Like if I'm listening to something that's really weird, I also want it to be kind of serious and have a little bit of, feeling put into it to justify the weirdness. If it's really weird and also tongue in cheek, the chances that I'll enjoy it kind of start to diminish a little bit.
Sure.
But this has pathos. There's lots of feelings put into this.
Definitely. A lot of great guitar work in here.
Yes, a lot of great guitar work. That's the also part of the Dream Theater comparison.
There are a couple of decent guitar players in Dream Theater.
Yeah, there are maybe there's one or two decent guitar players in Dream Theater, but some decent guitar players in Nevermore as well. Jeff Loomis knows how to handle an axe.
Yeah, he does.
What's your deal with Nevermore? How'd you get into them? What's your experience with
Nevermore? I was already a Sanctuary fan. I mean, I got into them when their first album came out in 1987. I was 13. Got that on cassette. Refuge Denied, their first album, and their second album, Into the Mirror Black, and then Nevermore came out, and the bass player in the band I was in was like, listening to this, I'm like, did Sanctuary come up with a new album? No, this is Nevermore. It wasn't this. This is their fourth album, but I think it was Nevermore's third album, the one before this was when he was playing. I'm like, turn that shit up, and I just really got into it. I was like, this is my kind of thing. This is it's thrashy, but it's not too thrashy. It's its own thing a lot. Yeah, which I appreciated that a whole lot. So
yeah, genre wise, it's kind of hard to place this.
Right.
It's like it's got some prog. It's got I think thrash is the bulk of the genetic makeup here.
Right.
But the rest of it really kind of augments that thrash sound, and so you end up with something that's a little hard to place. Where it's like there's some prog, there's some.
It sounds like it's bleeding in
heavy metal,
right? Bleeding into new metal in places almost.
Yeah. Some of the kind of start stop kind of chuggy guitar riffs, sort of bringing in a little bit of new metal flavor, certainly, and that's sort of. I mean, that was the direction that heavy music was going in the early 2000s.
22 years ago.
Yeah, with the exception of like death metal and whatnot, there was a lot of the it's a term that doesn't get used very often. It's a term that exists, but I don't hear people use it, which is new wave of American heavy metal.
Right.
Like I feel like I don't see that referenced very much, maybe because it's kind of not really a thing, because basically just saying new metal kind of describes all of those bands you would include in the new wave of American heavy metal. I guess alternative metal is also rolled into that generation of bands in the mid to late 90s into the early 2000s. But I don't hear people talking about that.
Right.
You hear people talking about the new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah, the second wave of British heavy metal in the late 70s.
Yes, you hear people talking about that, but you don't hear anyone talking about the American version, because it kind of was just alternative turning into new metal.
Sure.
That's all it was.
And there was some of it that was a little bit cringy. So
some of it. Some of it.
Okay, a large chunk of it.
I feel like I was about to say I feel like I'm too hard on new metal, but I don't know if it's really an opinion that I express all that often to truly say that I've been too hard on something, because I don't care about new metal. I've got no real beef with Limp Bizkit. So
I told you I saw them in concert.
Yeah, and you enjoyed yourself.
I actually did. In fact, I enjoyed myself to the point where I was embarrassed. I felt sick, and I'm like, shit,
I like this. God damn it.
Oh, fucking Fred Durst is a good entertainer.
Shit. Unless he's directing a movie.
Yeah.
Can't stay long. I gotta poo.
Yeah. Great opening line for John Travolta.
I should watch what's that movie called?
What's that movie? Oh, the Fanatic?
The Fanatic. I should watch The Fanatic again at some point. Oh God, what a turd of a movie.
What a poo of a movie.
What a poo of a movie. And it's funny how Devon Sawa, who's supposed to be like the villain of the film, is by far the best performance and the most likable.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He's the one with the most sense. The shit he does just makes sense.
Yes. It's like, yeah, that's probably how a person would react in this situation. Yeah. And then he gets fucking thrown in jail at the end of it. God, what a bad movie.
What a terrible movie.
A turd. You know, it's not a turd. Dead Heart in a Dead World by Nevermore.
That's true.
Does this album slap?
Yeah.
Slaps. I'd say this album absolutely slaps. Mm-hmm. I feel like, you know, if you don't know anything about what Nevermore is going to be, you hear the name Nevermore, and then you see Dead Heart in a Dead World, and I feel like because, you know, I knew going in from you telling me last week that it was going to be more thrashy and going to be more, you know, more on the lines of Sanctuary. But I feel like if you didn't know any of that and just saw the title of the album, the name of the band, you would assume this was going to be the most goth thing ever. Because goths fucking love Edgar Allan Poe.
True that.
And you see Dead Heart in a Dead World and you're like, okay, this is going to be the saddest, most, you know, gothy thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And it isn't. It's a little goth.
Sure.
It's a little gothy in places. There are some points where I once again forgot the singer's name.
Oh, Warrell Dane.
Warrell Dane. Yeah. I knew Dane was in there somewhere. I wanted to say Dane Cook for a second.
Yes.
But there are some moments where Warrell Dane kind of slips down into like a Peter Steele impression for just half a second.
Which he could pull that shit off.
Yes.
He did.
He can pull a lot of things off. The man's got a lot of range.
Well, not now.
It's true. Yes. Not anymore. But he had quite a lot of range. Very, very good vocalist.
And early on, he had mostly higher vocals, but he really developed a lower range through a deep practice of alcoholism.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, that's
alcoholism, cigarettes, maybe.
Perhaps. I mean, I one of the two gave him a heart attack. I mean,
that'll do that too. That'll happen. That'll happen. So I was looking up this album. Had 4 reviews on the Wikipedia page that came out to an average of 91.25, which is about 10 points higher than is typical for albums that are considered critically acclaimed that you see. But again, it was only 4 reviews.
Sure.
It's not, you know, and it's for an album that came out 22 years ago.
Right.
So it's
one of the reviews was written by Edna Dane.
Yes. My son's album is really good. But yeah, it seems like this is an album that people were very, very keen on, which is interesting in the sense that an album like this, which came out in the year 2000, in the year 2000, but an album like this that came out in the year 2000 that was as highly reviewed as it was, seemingly, and as well liked as it was when, as we were talking about, you know, nu metal was all the rage and that sort of thing. And it's, you know, it's not like these other albums couldn't succeed at the time. And I guess I don't know what the sales numbers were like, but because, I mean, you also have, you know, in 1999, you've got a Dream Theater album coming out. That's, you know, still considered one of, if not their best album. So it's not like metal was completely and entirely dominated by alternative metal and nu metal in the late 90s and early 2000s. But
and plus, you know, when a couple of years ago, when Disturbed put out their version of Sound of Silence.
Okay, can we talk about that? Okay, I like the rest of this album.
You didn't care for that version of the song.
I despise that version of Sound of Silence.
Yeah,
I fucking hate it.
It seems like they're trying real hard.
Is there at any point?
You're right.
Are the bones of the Simon and Garfunkel version in there beyond the lyrics? Is anything in that all based? Because I'm not a music I don't know how to write and or read music.
So some of his singing was on with the notes of the original.
But outside of the singing.
But the rest of the music, no, absolutely.
Chord progressions, anything.
Not even close.
At all, just completely fucking different.
It's like the rest of the band had never heard of Simon and Garfunkel. And Warrell came in with this lyric sheet and they're like, oh, those are some profound lyrics. Let's write a thrash song.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly bizarre. I hate it. I'm on some levels, I'm not super fond of the Disturbed version. On one hand, I'm like, this is a really good sounding cover. And it sounds really good. What the hell is the guy's name?
From Disturbed? They're talking about, why have I forgotten his name?
Yeah.
I should know at the top of my head. It's
D. Starts with a D. Is it Damien?
Don.
Disturbed.
David Draymond.
David Draymond. Thank you. Yeah. Like David Draymond is a good singer. I think their version of Sound of Silence is good technically.
Right.
But there's just something about it how it ends so bombastic where it's like, it mildly misses the point of the song.
But Nevermore's version really misses the point of the song.
They weren't even shooting in the same direction.
No.
They like if the original version is the bullseye on a target, Disturbed was shooting in that same cardinal direction.
Right. Yeah. If they were bowling toward the pins in Disturbed, Nevermore launched a ball into the concessions.
They chucked a ball at the poor bastard minding the shoes. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
You're
I was
not wrong.
listening to it going like, stop. Stop this, please. One of the other things that popped into my when I was listening to the song Believe in Nothing, I was like, I've heard this before. Where have I heard this before? And it's the metalcore band All That Remains did a cover of Believe in Nothing on an album of theirs that came out in 2008. So I was like, oh, that's where I've heard this. And it didn't pop into my head immediately because I also haven't listened to All That Remains in a very long time.
Sure.
Because they're
since 2008.
Not I wasn't listening to them at that time, but their lead singer is a bit of an asshole. And so I heard some things about it. I was just like, nah, I don't. And also the band itself just kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Sure.
They went in about 2012. They went in a real radio metal direction.
Really?
Some fans were really displeased about that. And then they tried to kind of curve back and people just kind of went,
too late.
Too late. We're done. And I think the band kind of died off. I don't know if they're still around or not, but I heard that and was like, oh, I'm familiar with this.
Nice.
So there's a weird linkage of covers running through. One of which I enjoyed, one of which I did not. What's your favorite song? Never mind songs that we don't like. What's your favorite song?
I think it's kind of almost a toss up between We Disintegrate and the River Dragon Comes.
You bastard. I wrote down with a slash. So second place, I guess, would be the River Dragon Has Come. It's not better now that you said it that way. Even the actual version is still bad.
Because I like the guitar.
Now that you've planted the thought.
The Jizz Dragon.
Now that you've planted that seed. But no, I wrote down the title track is my favorite.
The last song.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that sort of. But I like it because it has that moody intro, and then I really like the main guitar riff on that song as well. But there's a lot of guitar riffs to love on this album.
There are.
There's a lot to enjoy. So what metal are you bestowing upon this, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
It's one of those things where, you know how you have an apple and that apple is crisp and delicious and sweet, and then there's a spot on the other side that you kind of have to cut off with a knife. Otherwise, this is the best apple you've had in quite a while.
Yeah.
I still give it a low gold,
Okay.
Even with the Sound of Silence on there.
Yeah. And I'm with you on that. I'm giving it probably a silver.
Yeah.
But like absolutely with the caveat of, yeah, we're just going to shave off.
Let's pretend that's not there.
The Sound of Silence. Like it should be a bonus track on a deluxe edition. It should not be on the main version of the album that went to the fucking stores.
Right.
Like this should be the thing that, oh, you can order the special deluxe edition. And here's this song. Like
it felt silly.
And it's in the fucking middle of the album too.
Yeah.
It's right smack dab in the middle. Like, it's placed so centrally.
Did you say sensually?
No.
It's so,
I would, if I said that, it's not true.
It's so sensually.
Yes, their bizarro version of Sound of Silence is such a sensual song.
It makes the dragon come.
So anyhow,
if you get a chance to listen to Dreaming Neon Black as well, it's
Dreaming Neon Black,
very good album.
So that'll do it for our discussion of Dead Heart and a Dead World. Once more, I didn't come into this with an album in mind for next week, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. Okay. That's been happening a lot lately. Are
you running out of albums you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I feel like there are some albums that I want to talk about. I was like, this one's too depressing. So it's yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to there are some Counterparts albums that I've been listening to repeatedly for the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, this is so fucking depressing. This is such a downer.
Didn't we used to have a theme for June?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I don't think we did. But in any case, I'll figure out what we're gonna listen to next time at some point.
All right. Well, just let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. That's an important part of this process.
It is
you listening to the same album as me and vice versa.
Like me picking up my keys and giving her to go home and have dinner. Hey, Kale, I'm coming to your house at 7. So, album?
What are we listening to? Yeah, I will tell you. But until whatever we listen to next week greets your eardrums. Yep. Find us on social media.
Sure.
Facial? Oh, God.
It's been ruined. Kale's been ruined for the evening.
God damn it. God damn it. Freud, you motherfucker.
Sometimes a cigar is just a dildo.
All right. Okay. Let's just end the podcast.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.
Oh, man.